And we are here today at the Oklahoma Catholic Men's Conference, the 22nd annual, in the Father's Footsteps. We are really excited to be here. This is our, I guess, Dave, this would be our second one to be here recording, but about the 20th or 21st in attendance.
Correct, yes.
And we're here today with, actually, Dave, I'm going to let you introduce Ray.
Okay, Ray Haefele, you are the big cheese. It doesn't say that on your name tag.
Let's not put that up for vote.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure why it doesn't.
Right, because that's clearly who you are. In the best way possible. A good cheese, not like a cheap American cheese.
One that smells.
Yeah,
like one that stinks real bad, you know. It's really expensive.
I worked in the cheese industry, so I could give those names to you.
Did you? Did you really?
I was in the food business, in the deli business.
Oh, very cool.
All right.
So Ray heads up the Oklahoma Catholic Men's Conference. He's the guy that makes everything go. And this year we're really excited. We have some great speakers. We have Trent Horn, we have Patrick Coffin, we have Deacon Ralph Pollo, and we have Bishop. Remind me again what
Anthony Taylor.
Bishop Anthony Taylor,
who is originally from here.
The Tulsa Diocese.
He was born in Fort Worth, but he grew up in Ponca City, and then he became a priest here in the diocese.
Okay, great.
And then, probably 8-9 years ago, then he became the Bishop of Little Rock. So
yes, the Bishop of Little Rock. So, Ray, it's been so much fun to see this conference blossom the way it has. From starting in St. John's, I believe, is where we started, and then graduating to many different venues, all the way up to the Embassy Suites, where we have over 950 men. Last year we had over 700 men go to confession, which is just a beautiful thing. In and of itself is worth just coming to, for that aspect.
Yeah.
To have that many men. But talk about just the story of how this has all come together, how it's played out today.
Well, it started with 2 deacons and a priest 22 years ago that we had an opportunity to take over a conference in Springfield, Missouri. So it was at St. John's, and one of the problems we had, everybody thought it was a St. John's mission. So we had to break out of that.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we started going to some of the public venues, and then we ended up at Bishop McGinnis. But the numbers kept growing. And, one thing somebody was asking me about capacity, we have 950 guys, and you got to not only seat them so they can all see and be comfortable, but then they all have to move around during breaks and stuff like that. So anyhow, it's a great day from that standpoint. So we came down here. The embassy allowed us to have that kind of flexibility. And so I think this is our 6th year at the embassy. And, the guys just, one of the things probably 5 years ago, we kept asking about, our guys kept saying, we want more fellowship. And so how do you invent fellowship? We just couldn't figure that out. So we tried to have breakout sessions. We tried to get guys to mix it up at lunch and things like that. Well, I don't know. It wasn't a mistake. It was just kind of a fly by the seat of the pants. We said they need to start inviting their friends. They need to start bringing people from their parish. We have 105 point of contacts around the state that reach out to men in their parish. And if we could start doing that and getting them to bring friends and family. So 5 years ago that started. And as I mentioned at the opening comments, it's neat to know that there's over probably half of those people that walked in this morning were young men. And so we probably have got somewhere around 130 young men, high school and junior high kids that are here with their dads or with their uncles or something like that. So it's that, I think, not only is it important today, but the future of this conference continuing to move forward, as young guys like you and young guys like those guys be inspired and want to be part of this. Because one of these days we'll be celebrating my pine box up here on the so thank you for the comments about the being the big cheese, but what a great team. Leadership was part of my career, and that's what I've been able to apply here. And you met the team last night and heard about them, and a great group of guys that just come in and make it happen. So.
I mean, this is a year-long, year-round
preparation
process.
Yeah.
I've got 2 speakers in the bag for next year already. And then so I always kind of keep the last two open to be inspired by somebody I hear, or some name that's given to me. So right now I think we'll probably this next week I'll be working on the third speaker. So 53 weeks from now we'll be right back here doing it again.
Doing it again, God willing.
Yeah. It's I think another thing that's this has gone from basically a no cost conference. At this conference here, it costs $90,000 to put this whole thing on.
It's incredible.
It's and we have a lot of great sponsors that help keep the fees low. It's just nobody says no.
Right.
When you ask them, nobody says no if they've ever experienced it.
Yeah, I'm just doing the math. So there's just shy of 1,000 people here, but let's say there's 1,000. It's only $69 to.
Well, the average registration when you put the young men and the college and the early bird and all that.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of discounts.
$51 is per person is about what you can count on that.
I mean, that's just over half of the cost.
Of your cost.
So you've got other sponsors.
The vendors obviously pitch into some of that. So it takes a lot to keep it moving. But right now it's kind of, I never want to take it for granted. We always have to make room. When we start feeling it's on automatic pilot, that's dangerous. The Holy Spirit is going to do His work. We have to get out of the way, but we have to do our work too.
Yeah, totally.
One of the things, Ray, I think that this has been able to do is it's been able to have a platform for. You mentioned all the young men here, but it's a platform for a father and son day. Mm-hmm. In our culture today, we don't have those days as much anymore. Like we don't have the ritual of, okay, son, it's now time to go out into the fields and work together, or get on the tractor together, or whatever. You don't have those days that you can forge that bond with your father. And Dave and I, like we said, we've been here 20 some odd times, but it's only because our father took us at the very beginning. Talk a little bit about what you've seen with the father and son duos coming here.
I shared last night the story that kind of probably touches all of it, and it was father and his son had a very quiet ride over here to the conference. I think it sounded like the father kind of like, yes, you will go to the conference.
Right.
And the kid was, young man was touched by numerous things. First of all, to see other men. And he thought it would just be kind of a boring thing. And there was, and I think he got a chance to go to reconciliation. But on the way home, the two of them couldn't quit talking. In fact, the man was wise enough to pull into a Brahms, and they sat and talked for another hour. And his comment was, he says, we've never had that kind of conversation about our faith ever. And so, I think that probably captures, this opens a door, this cracks a door to a young man. Today we see sadness for me is how many young people aren't don't practice their faith after, I think the statistic is 22, after age 22, we lose 80%. And that just tears at my heart. So these guys, I think, there's guys that now they're young men that are inviting their high school friends to come. There's one man I saw in here, and his son had invited 5 other young men.
Wow.
5 other young men. And
that's phenomenal.
And dad didn't have to tell him. He just said, hey, let's go to this men's conference. Pretty cool deal.
Uh-huh.
And Trent's going to be talking to him today, do a little presentation. The young man, of course, he's the young man himself, and really appeals to that. So
I had a moment, several years ago. Father Larry Richards came, and he gave this talk, and I remember one thing he said was that, talking about living a life of sin. He said, one day when you wake up in the middle of the night and can't figure out why you're unhappy, I want you to hear my voice saying, I told you so. And fast forward years later, I'm in college, and I woke up I fell away from practicing my faith, and I was being a pretty typical college male. And I did. This exact same thing happened to me. I woke up in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden couldn't go back to sleep, which I sleep like a rock. Okay, this never happens to me. And it's just like, what is the deal? And all of a sudden, I heard Father Larry's voice in my head saying, I told you so. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And I went to confession the next day, and it was really a pivotal point, all because of, being here at this men's conference.
those. I always enjoy. Father Larry starts most of his presentations off with, "You're gonna die."
Yeah. Great way to open up.
You're
Father.
gonna die, and everybody's like, "Okay," like right now. So anyhow, it's there's so many blessings that come out of this thing, but the momentum. And the other thing that I saw mentioned last night was, as I looked through the registration list, it used to be there might be one guy from this town or this parish, and then it was the big parishes here in Oklahoma City that had the big numbers. Well, now I'm seeing, in fact, one guy stopped me and he said, "By the way, because of your encouragement, I have 7 guys with me here, and last year it was just me."
Wow.
And so
that is phenomenal.
Now if you'll read our charter, it is that we try to encourage groups, men's groups to start in our parishes.
Yeah.
And we also hear a lot of that. Guys going, "Oh, by the way, our men's group has got 32 of them coming in." So
that's awesome.
Our men's group at St. John's, every Thursday morning we get together for about an hour and talk about, right now with Father Larry or Bishop Barron's series. But we have 150 guys that get together every Thursday morning at 6:30 in the morning. So it's that's really what this is all about. It's not just about this. This is only a day. It'll be a memory. But this hopefully is a stepping stone for other guys, to carry this throughout the year with your young men, with the other members in your parish and stuff like that.
So there's a lot of places I know who wish they had a conference like this. Every state really needs a conference. We have people come from all over, many states. I know that's one of the things you always do is, who's from this state or whatever. And it's always surprising how far someone has come to this conference.
One of our guys that we met in the Phoenix Men's Conference we were at is here today.
Yes, he is. We have some Phoenix guys. We have some Houston guys. Of course, all the states around Oklahoma. We have Kansas, Arkansas, New Mexico, Texas guys that come in. We have quite a few guys come in from the north part of Texas.
Have you guys done any or considered putting together like a template? A kind of conference in a box, like step 1, step 2, because Denver does not have a men's conference. Boston does not have a men's conference. And it's not that there's people out there I think would do it. They just don't know what to do.
They don't know where to start.
And you guys have really found a winning recipe, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we've had many of the speakers, I mentioned last night, comments that some of the speakers have made. We have speakers that have been at some place and somebody said, "Hey, we're trying to get a conference going." So I get a lot of phone calls in.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, there's the template of how to put the day together and how to select speakers, and there's no rocket science there. You met the guys last night that make a difference in this conference. So many of the conferences, the speakers say, you get about 5 conferences in a row and then it dies out. These guys wouldn't let it die out. And, so anyhow, no, we haven't, to answer your question shortly. But we're always welcome to be able to help anybody get started. Really trying to get a Hispanic ministry conference going here in Oklahoma.
Well, we are about to launch a Spanish radio stream.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In Tulsa.
Radio
Yeah.
app.
Good.
Yeah.
I've been talking to the pastoral center. I've offered that out that our team would meet with, but it takes a group of Spanish. You don't want a bunch of Anglos putting together.
Right. People who don't speak Spanish. Yeah.
Because you don't understand the culture. You just don't understand stuff. So, finding leaders that want to step up and make a commitment. It seems big, but if you spread it out over the whole year, like I say, when I see a good speaker come up, I don't care if I've already got the dates up for 2020. If I find a good speaker, I'll start putting speakers into 20.
Yeah.
And then everything else then is kind of part of a template, but you got to have a facility like this. There's just a variety.
And
of
someone
things.
to do the roles.
Play the roles.
To do the jobs. Yeah.
Everybody's afraid. It seems like people to step up and to be servants to this kind of a deal is hard to find.
Sure.
Hard to find.
Well, Ray, I know that I could speak for everybody here that says that you're a huge blessing to not only the archdiocese here in Oklahoma City, but across the state. It has been such a pleasure to become a friend of yours and to know you and be a part of this in a very small way. We're extremely grateful for your call and saying yes, because Could have easily said no. It would have been very easy to just say, nah, it's okay.
You guys make it easy from that standpoint. And again, the hope is, I mean, everything, there's no free ticket.
Right.
The hope is that 20 years from now, you guys are, the backbone of keeping something like this going in the state. So thank you. Your words are kind. I appreciate it. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning,
Is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Thanks so much, Ray.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.